The following question is related to salt analysis, and the question states that the table shows the results of two reactions of an aqueous solution of a salt, and there are two reagents added. The first one is he added excess aqueous sodium hydroxide, and a white precipitate was formed. So remember, he's adding excess aqueous sodium hydroxide, which means that this white precipitate is an insoluble white precipitate, because even in excess it's not dissolving, so it's completely insoluble. And in the next step, he added dilute nitric acid, and aqueous silver nitrate was added, and a yellow precipitate was formed. And he's asking what is the name of this salt. Now if you look at the options, the two cations that are given, one is a calcium ion, so you have a choice between, if you're talking about the cation, you have a choice between calcium ions or zinc ions. So if you look at the options, this is calcium ion, this is also calcium ion, zinc ion, zinc ion. So two options contain calcium ions, two contain zinc ions. And the negative ions, the anions, have a lot of options. You have Cl-1, I-1. So let's list them down. So for the negative ions, I have a lot of options. Cl-1, I-1, there is NO3-1 in the third option, and there is an SO4 2- ion as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the data sheet and figure out what are these tests and which of the ions is going to give these results with the following tests. Now I'm going to open my test for cations. So I have a list of tests of cations. You can check the website. In the resources section, you're going to get all this information in a PDF. So these are all my cations, and remember that cations that I pointed out, I had just two cations. One was a calcium ion and the other one was a zinc ion. If you look at the test for calcium ions, it is a white precipitate with NaOH, and it's insoluble in excess. Remember, in our case, if you look at the result, we were also getting a white precipitate with NaOH, and that was insoluble in excess. With zinc, you're also getting a white precipitate, but that is soluble in excess. That would indicate that the white precipitate that we were getting was probably of calcium ions. So going back to my question, this excess aqueous NaOH gives a white precipitate, and it is insoluble because you're adding excess of it. It doesn't dissolve. Zinc ions cannot be correct because it's going to form a white precipitate that's going to be soluble in excess. So calcium ions would be the correct option, but then that would leave us with two options, A and B. So I'm going to remove the other two options. Zinc is not an option, so that is going to be incorrect. Now I have to look for the anion. So so that would also eliminate nitrate ions as anions and sulfate ions as anions. I'm left with whether the substance has a chloride in it or whether it has an iodide in it. So I just need to figure out what the test is. Remember, I'm getting a yellow precipitate with aqueous silver nitrate. So let's look at the sheet containing all the test data. So in the test for anions, you will notice Cl-1 and you would notice I-1. Cl-1 is it's the same test. You're adding nitric acid, and then you're adding silver ions or silver nitrate, and you're getting a white precipitate. Remember, we were getting a yellow precipitate. If you look at the test for I-1, you again acidify with dilute aqueous nitric acid, and then you add silver ions, and you're getting a yellow precipitate. So remember, in our case, in our test, we were getting a yellow precipitate. So I-1 would probably be the correct option. So coming back to my question, the yellow precipitate would be of I-1. The silver ion, silver nitrate, would be providing the silver ions, and that would give a positive result. So this one, the anion is not going to be Cl-1. That gives a white precipitate. It's going to be I-1. So the correct option would be option B according to the tests given.